Welcome to News at 10, everyone. We're a bit early, but there you go. So,
It definitely does have that ring, don't it? Like, it really does, yeah. It's that countdown. I'm sure it was News at 10. It's the BBC News at 10, isn't it? It's the same. Doof, doof. And they used to have the different scenes that would play before.
Yeah, and then, well, News at 10 was on ITV, was it? And BBC was News at 9, wasn't it?
I think you're right, actually. Yeah. Because it was News at 10 with Trevor McDonald. That's right. Right.
It was the kind of
many years.
It was all that kind of dramatic stuff, wasn't it?
The one that you had the other day with Ronnie, the start of that reminded me of 999, the old Michael Burke program. They all got like that sort of like early 90s ring. Yes.
You're showing your age now, Andy. You're showing your age. Okay, Colleen says BBC World. So yeah, well, it would be on that. We've got an expose on National Irish TV of the dairy industry on Monday. So just been speaking to Declan from the Sanctuary, and he was saying that he hopes that it's going to be okay. And Sandra from Eden was saying that we'll have to wait and see, because it could well be a bit of a whitewash, might it? Greenwash or something.
I was about to say, who is doing the exposing?
Well, it's supposed to be a kind of investigative journalist, I think, but I'm not sure. The Irish Dairy Council in Ireland, the Dairy Council of Ireland, it's called. They've just put out an advert, apparently, and it's only 30 seconds, but it's on YouTube, and it's all about them, the custodians of the land, all the usual kind of lies and everything.
Is it worth a response? It's 11 a.m. in Arizona and 110 degrees. You can keep that. I was whinging about, I don't know, whatever it is, the conversion rate, but it's about 26 here.
110 degrees
or something.
That's ridiculous. Hey, who's doing it? It's the national broadcaster, RTE. I don't actually know what RTE stands for.
Have they got like an online service?
Well, they've got a player, but I think it might be limited to Ireland, but I'm not sure.
We'll have to get someone to screen record it then.
Yeah, somebody in Ireland. Yeah, can you think of anybody?
Yeah, someone with Phil Moore that's got the facility to do it.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, and the time to do it and all that. Hey, Andy, do you want to tell people about what we learnt about the Greece fire?
Oh, that was wow. I mean, I'm assuming that was sort of, to the point we can say that that's what it was.
Well, we've heard. So, yeah. But I mean, it's quite
So Roger sent me a video earlier, which at first to me, I thought it was an oil pipeline that was on fire because of the way that it was in a circle, more or less, and it was kind of like so expanded. That's what I thought it was, like it was following the trail of oil. But it seems from what Roger said that it was actually done by a beekeeper using a smoker. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it is that is on fire, but that's how it seems that the fire began. So, like, it's not just the fact that the bees are being exploited. Think of all the free living beings. And I mean, we were talking a huge area here. It looked like a crater sort of sized area that was potentially on fire. So many lives destroyed because people want honey.
Yeah, the worst thing is that it's not long since they only just managed to get their fires out.
And it'll be the time of year now that'll thrive, yeah.
Yeah, so there's all that as well. Somebody was saying
that's all over the place, isn't it? I mean, they've got those huge fires in Canada at the moment. There's like everywhere is on fire.
Yeah. I mean, like, just even if there's no fire, just think of the temperatures for some free living beings.
Yeah, and the smoke too.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, it's as though.
I mean, you think, like, for example, if you go, I don't know, say you go to like a bonfire or anything like that. Even if you stand a decent distance away from the fire, it doesn't take long for the smoke to sort of like make your eyes sting and that kind of thing if the wind's going in the wrong direction. So you think of all the birds and that fly through it, not just those on the ground that kind of, but even the birds that are trying to fly through, or any of the animals up the top of trees. All of the smoke is potentially causing the same thing to their lungs and eyes like it would to us, if not worse, especially their sense of smell.
Indeed. So let's see who's in the house. We got an early. Well, we got this yesterday. We got this again. So Graham and Georgie and Sophia and Ted won't be with us because it's Ted's birthday. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Squashed tomatoes and stew. Happy birthday.
I'm glad to let you do the singing.
That's for Ted. So, but the first one
happy birthday, Ted.
Celebrating yet again. Celebrating his double win is Michael, then Colleen, and then Deb. Those are the only ones who've let themselves be known so far. Oh, and we've just got Joanna joining. Hello, Joanna.
In theory as well, thinking about what Deb said, if it's only 11 a.m., potentially in the next 2 hours or so, it's only going to get warmer.
Doesn't bear thinking about, really, does it?
1:30 is usually about the hottest point of the day, isn't it? 1, 2 o'clock, that sort of time. So yeah.
No,
thank you.
Right, as always, if you're tuning in on Facebook, I think the only Facebook one that's open for this one is my one. I think the vegan review is not. The best thing to go to Andy's YouTube or my YouTube for the chat, if that is of interest to you. And of course, this is kind of more relevant than ever in a way, because we're back to doing the updating of the classics. We're kind of most of the way through the first one, which we thought would take us about, what do we think, about an hour and a half?
Yeah, I estimated we'd finish it in an hour and a half. And what was the first show? 2 and a bit. And
and it's going to take another hour to do this. Yeah, so we're on to Leslie Cross's probably. Would you say this is his best one, or because you like the 55 one, don't you?
I still think this is the best. Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. The 55 is good for a summary, but in terms of the depth and in not just that, it's like I said yesterday, it's kind of that artistic freedom that you can feel from him. This one is the one that I would say. Yeah.
Intriguing character. We'll have to talk more to John about his.
On that note, in fact, John emailed me back earlier. I'm hopefully going to speak to him one of the days next week. I'll just put some questions together and see if we can unearth some of this archive stuff that he potentially had. Yeah.
Okay, so for people who might not know the reference, we're talking about John Cross, who 80 years vegan. And so,
just while I mention it, I mean, he was like, "How do you want to do it? Microsoft Teams or Zoom?" And I'm like, "My mum can barely send a text, right?" And completely, fluent with all this stuff. I just think that's amazing, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I was supposed to be interviewing him for VegFest UK, but he's too busy at the moment because he's giving lots of lectures and school talks and college talks and stuff. So.
We haven't arranged a time yet. He just said it's one day next week, because I'm not going to take up a lot of his time. I only want like 20 minutes or so. It's just basically, I think he wants to know what sort of thing I'm after, and it's kind of like anything really that you've got.
And I bet you, Andy, he doesn't have a Patreon, and he's not asking people for money all the time either.
No, he didn't charge me for an email either. So and he responded to it and read it, without anyone paying. So it can be done.
It can be done. You never know. There are some radical people out there. Yeah, John Cross, the son of Leslie. That's right. Yeah, vegan for 80 years, and probably either one of or the longest living.
Yeah,
vegan.
I mean, it's quite something to beat, isn't it? If there is someone out there, we're talking an individual. We're not talking many people.
No.
If there is,
I bet Ronnie's going. He won't beat me. I'll beat him. He won't beat me. He'll probably be there. Okay, now where are we? Boom. No, there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So here we are. Now you're the only one with access to this at the moment.
And I don't mind reading it as well.
Yeah. So you can do the business. Although I suppose I can open it myself as well. So okay. So this is the updating. So the rationale here is the fact that Andy has narrated quite a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff still in the pipeline. Your latest one, Bridget Brophy. Oh no, Eva Bat and
Yeah, I
poetry.
did the Brophy essay. Then I did why vegan. Why veganism, and then I did the poems afterwards. And my most recent stuff that I've done is the Eva Bat poems. That's the freshest, so to speak.
Okay, well, here's a question, just related to my concerns of the time tunnel and stuff. Is that I've started to, well, I've claimed, correct me if I'm wrong, really, that by the time we get into the 60s and Eva Bat, this is when a lot more cruelty language came in. Do you think that's true, or is it still a good kind of?
So it's interesting. So before rereading it again to narrate it, I was under the impression that essay of Eva's was a little bit flowery too, but actually, no, not really.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, when you look at some of her poetry, some of the wording is, but I mean, we're talking about poems that were kind of aimed at children and up, I'm guessing, by the language. So she's not going to be too sort of forthcoming in them. That, you know, the language is going to be matching kind of her audience, so to speak. But yeah, in the essay, certainly, I think she knows what they're against, and she illustrates that quite well. I mean, they do use the cruelty word, but I don't think it's not as bad as I thought it was. I think when I'd read it the first time, I probably just went, oh, you know, this is really, really, but it's not actually, no. And I found that with quite a few of the things, that it wasn't until I started narrating them that I really took it in. I guess lots of times before, you just kind of skim read it.
I think that's a very important point. You know, the fact that because we get so much stuff over the internet now, you know, how many things are actually read and digested, you know, from the first word to the last. You know, probably
very
none,
little,
very few, little. Right? No. You know, so yeah, so there is that. Did you say from children upwards?
I would guess so, by the sort of nature of some of the...
But who else is there if it's children upwards?
Well, obviously they were in the vegan, so the adults are going to read them. But like, what I mean is they were sort of like catered for, so they weren't going to offend anyone. There's some words in there, but it's kind of, yeah, it's still suitable.
Well, it wouldn't be a booklet if there weren't any words in there. So okay,
you know what I mean? yeah. Right. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that the poems were thought, yeah, a child could read this, and it's not going to be.
All right, your voice inflection in the narration was great, Andy. So there you are, compliment for you, lad.
Thank you. I'm more like I started to try and reiterate every time. If there's any anything that you've read or would like me to narrate, I'm more than open to suggestions. You know, the more of this kind of stuff that we have a record of, especially if it's narrated, if people prefer that kind of stuff, I don't mind doing it.
Right. Okay. Right, to business, I suppose. So, as I said, we're updating. So the idea is that you've narrated all Leslie Cross's essays, and you've even put them all in one block as well to give people that variety. And then we came up with the idea of updating them so that the rather kind of sexist and other problematic language, we thought if we got rid of that, it would mean that if, you know, younger people, more recent vegans, you know, people who might be put off by the archaic kind of language was to listen to it or read it, this would kind of help, right? And so the idea is that once we've updated it, you're going to narrate the new version as well, right? And so the idea is just to try and get these classic text in front of as many people, as many vegans.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and it's the same with the other stuff. You know, that's why I will more than happily take any requests, because it's just a case of giving it potentially some new eyes or ears that have never heard or listened to it before, heard or read it before. Sorry, because I mean, just I didn't know about that book of poetry until I found it and read it. So there's probably so much stuff that people have never heard before that they really should hear.
Yeah, it's very important. Okay, right. So if you take requests, I'll have Bohemian Rhapsody for the next one you do.
I could narrate it. I wouldn't be able to do it justice in terms of
narrate
singing.
it. Yeah, do it.
I don't think it would sound the same narrated.
A poetic version, yeah, especially when you get to the operatic part.
Yeah, that would be quite good. No, I think I would have.
The first word of the second part is a problem. So is that just going to be we?
Should it be? Yeah, I was about to say, should it be we hunt, slaughter, vivisect, and enslave them?
Yeah, so we just have to take the S's out, right? So we change that to we.
Are you doing the typing or am I doing typing?
I can't unless I open it up.
Okay. So
yeah,
we'll change this. I can't remember how we were. So it's bold, the things we change.
yeah. I'll see if I can open it as well.
And then do I just strike through all of these S's?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, which is it's fairly hard to do on single letters, but
where is strike through on here? Bold, italic, underline.
Oh, you got to go up to edit or something like that. Hang on a second. I'll be with you in a second, folks. Here we go. Now the thing is, can I load this up as well?
Otherwise, yeah. That's essentially what we did last time. It'll let sort of their live edit, so I'll see them as well. I can't find strike through. It's not Control and S. What's the key for strike through? Does anyone know?
Hang on, I'll tell you here. I might have to go to format and then text. Format and then text.
Alt Shift 5. Okay, that's fine.
And then you get a drop down menu come down, yeah?
Yeah.
And another old one telling you what to do. I don't know. So am I in control of this now as well or not?
Yeah, you can move it up and down as well.
Okay, but I'm not in the same place as you though. How does that work?
Oh no, it's on my screen. You'll only see my screen because it's only my screen that's shared.
Oh,
so,
I'm with
so
you,
your
right,
movements won't affect me.
All right, okay, yeah. So it means that I could, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
So there's no point in me doing any alterations because nobody will see them, will they?
No, well, they will appear on mine. They just won't see you scrolling up and down. So if you make an edit, it's a live edit. So like, for example, if you took the word slaughter.
Oh, so if I do that, you'll see that.
It says hello.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. This is a great bit of technology, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And it's it's really, and the fact that it's a live link as well. So actually anyone else can jump on this potentially if they want to.
Yeah. If we should actually probably do that. If anybody wants to join us, especially anybody who has probably got a bigger grasp of English than we have, you're welcome to join. That's the link.
Oh, we've just both put it in there.
Okay. No, well, that's for the Google Doc you've put in. I've put it in for
oh, right. Oh, yeah. Well, they're both covered then. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. No point in them.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It just automatically, because I thought it says you'd posted as well, Roger Yates, but it posts from both, doesn't it? Because we're both live.
It does, yeah.
Right.
That's right,
yeah. Fine. Right.
And you posted as though you're me as well. So
yeah. Okay.
We could create chaos with each other's careers if so to speak.
That's true. Now we hunt, slaughter, vivisect, and enslave them, as opposed to
obtain their milk. We
to obtain their milk. We inflict upon. Yeah, it would be the same, I suppose. Take the S off. Why hasn't that changed?
Obtain their milk. Inflict upon them some of the least worthy of all our. So it's got to be our then instead of his. So we're putting the changes in bold and the things that we've cut out with the strike through.
Yeah, it would have to be our, wouldn't it? There's nothing, our exploitations.
Yeah, don't forget, people, if you've got ideas for the chat, sling them in there, and we shall. Because I think there was some brilliant suggestions last week, which we hadn't thought of.
Absolutely. That's why I thought this was a good idea. Because I mean, you've got lots of different minds working together. Then,
the hive mind. It's like fellow animals, and that we were, because we had an interesting debate about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Worthy of our exploitations. Yeah, it's interesting there. You see, this goes back to their ongoing and fairly lengthy argument with the vegetarians, because a lot of vegetarians were very resistant to the idea that there was any exploitation or oppression in the production of milk. I mean, there's still vegetarians now who would suggest that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I've had conversations with vegetarians that say that, you know, their milk is from an ethical dairy farm, a locally run place where they've only got a handful of cows. Yeah.
Oh yeah, everybody knows a locally run butchers and
I mean, I say
run
this all the
dairy
time.
farm.
It's madness to think that Sainsbury's and Morrison's and Tesco and Asda all rake in these profits every year, because everyone goes to their local farm. Everyone.
Yeah, you'd have thought that Morrison's would be empty, wouldn't you?
Yeah, all the supermarkets should go bust potentially, because everybody knows where their food comes from, and they all source locally. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can. Yeah, I think you're right there. They're delusional, but again, it's very convenient, isn't it? You know, like.
Of course, yeah. Well, it's an easy way out, isn't it? It absolves, but again, it's because they're relying on that welfareistic. Well, it's okay if it's from this place. It's okay if it's done with this method, because that's what they've been conditioned to believe. That's why I think using the same language as the RSPCA is so such a poor choice on our cause, because this is the same language that conditions people to get used to this. And now we're trying to use the same language.
Got a red tractor on it or something.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. So,
right. So the deliberate and forcible separation of mother cow from baby calf. Anything that you would change?
Yeah. So that's okay, isn't it?
That's fine. So it says we take the wild.
Why is the machine underlined cow and calf? Do you think?
Consider changing to cows. Well, no. I mean, I suppose, but no, it's fine.
Oh, cows.
Yeah, but then you'd have to change it to cows. Yeah. I mean, it's not changing anything about the thing, is it? Cows and calves. So I think it's unnecessary.
Just on a very pedantic note, you would almost like suggest that the calves are taken from the mother.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be the other way around. Actually, if you were going to change anything, you'd switch it round.
But that's just a nerdy point, so I'm not going to make
semantics at the end of
the day. I'm glad that you brought that up, Andy.
Yeah, I did, because I was thinking, well, if I'm going to change it from cow to cows, then I'd want to switch their order as well, because my brain would feel happier about it. Yeah, so that would be the stroke through.
Brings up a really interesting point, you know, in the movement that I think some feminist activists have pointed out that there's a big focus on what happens to the males, the male offspring, and you know the chicks who are macerated, and the baby boys, as it's often put in the movement, which doesn't do anything for my mental health. You know, rather than thinking, well, yeah, but you know, put
it this way. I mean, it's not a great situation to be in, but if you were a chick, would you want to be a boy or a girl?
Yeah, well,
because a macerate is absolutely horrible, right? But it's over in very short time. Whereas 3 or 4 years, 5 years of being exploited, crushing your own I think I'd go with a boy too. You'd say that that's their, you know, neither of them are good, but out of the two, it's the lesser.
It's a bit more difficult with the calf, though, isn't it? But
then again, I suppose personally, if I was given the choice between X amount of months versus X amount of years, and knowing that I'm going to be impregnated and they're going to take all of my children, I'll still be a boy.
Yeah. What a terrible choice to
have
to make.
There is no right answer, but yeah, I suppose if I had to pick, it's the slightly lesser of the two.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we take the wild, free, and noble horse. Break.
So I suppose it's take the S off brakes, castrates, and harness, and then it would be them instead of it.
Yes.
Okay. No, it won't let me do the Alt, Shift, and 5. That works now. That's better.
And of course, the thing that's not there, which is one of the worst things, I think, is the bit in the mouth.
It's mentioned in the other essays usually when he talks about the horse. That's normally part of the sequence, yeah.
Oh right, I can't remember that. That's interesting. Yeah,
I'm
because
sure it's
I've
in the
always
story. I'm sure when he uses a very similar sentence, he does talk about the bit in the mouth.
yeah, because you know some bits. I mean, one of the volunteers for the VIP used to be when they were a child. You know, a kind of horsey person, and you know their position now is absolutely horrible. You know, and like they produced a kind of display. You know, kind of tools of injustice display of the different bits because you know some of them have got barbs on them. Some of them, you know, they're all different. And from looking at a horse, you can just see the little rings here, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
You
yeah,
do,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so you don't see, you know, the kind of damaging bit, as it were. Yeah, horrible things, bits.
Horrible. Yeah.
Ah,
Right. Harnesses them.
so is are we going for our instead of his?
Yeah, and I suppose then we'd have to add S. Yeah, we'd have to turn it to prayers is not so much for daily bread as for daily flesh.
But you can't have our constant prayers is, can we?
No, it would have to be R as well. His, yeah, that, I mean, yeah, we'd have to change
Yeah,
his as well. It would have to
that
be
makes,
our constant prayers are.
yeah. As for would be difficult then too. That into the it probably have to be but, wouldn't it? But
It's not so much for daily bread.
our constant prayers
Ah, not so much for
not so
daily
much.
bread.
So
Yeah,
as
it would either
but,
have to be but or instead.
yeah, no, it'd have to be but, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm relying on you to read the chat because I can't see it when this one's open.
Okay. I shall do that.
Constant.
We've got loads of animals only vegans in there at the moment, like
How do you spell prayers? Pray.
What?
Is it just an S or is it
Just
an
an
ES?
S, yeah.
Just an S, yeah.
Iggy and Ziggy. Iggy Stardust has his teeth broken and missing from being ridden. Yeah. Well, you know, that's one thing we used to notice because I started off by sabbing, and that you know you notice that, you know, them being jerked around by the head, and they would often be foaming at the mouth and bleeding from the mouth, you know, at the end of a hunt and stuff. Mind you, the hunters themselves are often foaming at the mouth because they're that type of person.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been subbing for quite a while, but one of the things that always lives with me was like, it sounds strange, I suppose, unless you've seen it for yourself, but it's almost like a sexual satisfaction that they get if they're successful. It's almost like the noises and squeals and things that they make. It's almost like some sort of sexual gratification. It's strange to, unless you've been there and seen it a few times, it's hard to explain, but that is what you sort of compare it to. It's not normal by any means.
No, well, it's all tied up with status and all kinds of crap, isn't it? So
yeah,
right. The compassionate man. So are we going to put human? May well be excused for asking pointedly what kind of relationship this can be.
Human or person?
Well, I think we had a problem with that last time.
Yeah.
About the idea of what about non-human person? You know.
Okay, so should we just stick with human?
I'd say so. Yeah. Well, we'll have to alter this sentence and then see what it looks like as a full sentence.
Compassionate human may well be excused for asking pointedly what kind of relationship this can be. Compassionate. Yeah.
Oh, the bit. There you are.
I guess I thought it was in here. Yeah. There you go. Just a little bit further down. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit further down. Ha ha.
The compassionate human. I mean, it is the word. It just sounds a bit strange.
You don't like it, no?
Well, it's not that I don't. I mean, it's the right word. It's just whether it makes a sentence sound like it doesn't make sense anymore. The compassionate human may well be.
Well, people of the chat, are you happy with the compassionate human, or the other option is compassionate person so far? And the slaughterer knife.
Yeah, I suppose it does. It does, but I don't know. Maybe my brain is thinking that it should be an a compassionate human as opposed to the, but then it changes the dynamic. But I don't think there is a more appropriate word to put there, because I think you're right. Person brings in other potential issues, whereas human doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting, that, isn't it? Because it could be the compassionate human, it could be a compassionate human, or it could be compassionate humans, couldn't it?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That. Yeah. Okay. Jennifer says compassionate human.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Shall we move on then?
What kind of relationship can this be that has it for its symbols, the whip and the bit and the slaughterer's knife? So there's nothing to change there.
He likes talking about symbols, Cross, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's always talking about the principles of veganism is a symbol and all this kind of stuff. Right. So here we go.
I tell you, for anyone that sort of wants to go and listen to it or read it afterwards, he's got a similar writing style to Bridget Brophy. In fairness, they kind of describe things in similar ways, because she uses similar language in that sense, where she talks about, like, the weapons of destruction, so to speak, and it's a similar list.
Tell you what I don't know about Leslie Cross, Andy, is qualifications. I mean, we knew he was a professional journalist, but I mean, is he kind of university educated or what?
In fact, while she's there, I'm going to write that down on my list to ask if John knows. Because I don't know.
Hey, John, did your dad ever go to school? That's what you were asking.
Well, I suppose he probably hasn't know about his school stuff, but if he went to university, he might know that.
Well, I mean, in college, couldn't it? Could have been
say the end of the 40s and 50s. Would you have still needed a university degree to be a journalist? Was that a thing?
No, well, you wouldn't need any qualification to be a journalist if you kind of made your way through, or you kind of knew
it's an interesting question to ask him then.
Yeah.
The American writer Henry Bailey Stevens has argued that one of the wrong turnings taken by man somewhere is okay. So we've got to stop there. Was taken by humans somewhere in their evolution.
No, humanity is best. Surely.
Humanity, yeah, okay.
And then our, to personalize it again. Humanity.
Yes, I did mean humanity. Humanity somewhere in our evolution was the enslavement, domestication of. Would we put other here?
Yes. I would, yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
The contention is, to say the least, logical. Yes.
There is not much common sense, for example, in asking for peace on Earth at the same time prosecuting what amounts to war upon the animals.
See, this is where he's been actually quite careful again, isn't he? Given the time, given the whatever he'd just been through and all the rest of it, and all that kind of Darwinian stuff that you were talking about, he's kind of been, so he's kind of quoting somebody else and going, yeah, well, that seems about right, doesn't it? Type of thing. He's being a bit careful, isn't he?
Yeah.
There is not much common sense, for example, in asking for peace on Earth and at the same time prosecuting what amounts to war upon So the would be changed to other.
Yeah.
Again, given the fact that who we're aiming this at, our audience, are we doing right by changing this, or should we be leaving it as animals? What are we working on? Yeah, we're updating the end part of Leslie Cross's 1954 essay, The Surge of Freedom. Yeah, thanks, Colleen. That's exactly it. It's a tricky one for me because my instinct is always to do this, but in terms of, if you look at the majority of people in the movement, they don't do this, do they? Mm-hmm. So are we then saying, well, we can ripen them up to improve their language, but that's not our job here.
True. But I suppose it just remains consistent with everything. I mean, if someone's honestly going to have the opinion that humans and other animals are not related in that sense, then I don't really know how they can sort of be reasoned with language, because it's a serious issue there. That's a serious lack of education somewhere along the line.
Well, this gets us off the hook, Andy. If we put all beings, then
that would work. Yeah.
That would get us off a bit of a hook there. But it's kind of something, to be honest, that is being kind of bugging me a little bit, because we might be doing wrong by making that adjustment, which a lot of people in the movement wouldn't think is necessary.
Oh yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it would then rankle with us still that it wasn't completely updated as far as we're concerned, but it's not about us, it's about the people reading it, right? The audience of it, not us.
Yeah.
So what, we're going to put all beings there, upon all beings, is it? Well, actually, we couldn't put that, could we? Because he wants to specify
other. So should we just leave it as it is?
We've got to either delete other or
change it back to the.
Yeah, that's the only choice, I think. Yeah, it would be. Colleen is saying that would create quite a change, I think.
Yeah, let's leave this one as it was.
Okay.
Because we've already put it here anyway, so it doesn't need that reiteration, and it keeps that intact. Then, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because the idea was to change it as little as possible, right? So we did.
It's not a necessary change, so it's leave it. What is needed to begin with to correct this evolutionary deviation is acceptance of the idea that animal emancipation is a desirable aim. Nothing there, is there?
No, that's a nice little sentence, isn't it?
Yep. If a sufficient number of people experience such a mental conversion, then the skills and ingenuity of men could be used to develop alternatives to those products of animal origin, which the majority of men undoubtedly believe to be essential to their well-being. So we've got two men's.
Well, I would say then human skills and ingenuity could be. So it's a bit of a rearrangement, but you wouldn't just change it where men is, but you'd put human instead, but you'd put it earlier in the sentence.
People experience such a mental conversion. The human skills and ingenuity.
No, then human skills.
Then human skills. Yeah. Okay.
And then of men would be cut. Okay, so then human skills and ingenuity. Okay, say it now. Never mind, spell it. Could be used to develop alternatives to those products of animal origin.
Humanity.
Why don't we just get rid of men?
Yeah, it does work, doesn't it? With the majority, which it does. Which, because I mean, if you add humanity in there, it doesn't work. Probably better off probably just removing the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's not talking about field mice, is he?
Products of animal origin, which the majority undoubtedly believe to be essential to their well-being. Yeah, that works fine. These products, a completely satisfactory non-animal milk is example, are necessary if the universal practical application of the ideal is to be achieved.
That's blatant advertising, that, isn't it?
A little bit, just a tiny bit. Well, why not?
Yeah, I guess so.
There's nothing in there. For men and women are not all alike, and there are many for whom the practical obstacles must at present seem unsurmountable. We shall not shut our eyes to the undoubted fact that to such people, such obstacles are real and not imaginary.
Yeah, this is quite a thoughtful little passage because it's talking about that. I mean, the modern day conversation here is food deserts and Inuits and all the rest of it, right? And so,
yeah.
So you've got what we're going to do about men and women.
I don't know, because you could just change it to we, but
what about individuals?
Individuals are not all alike. Yeah, it makes sense. And there are many for whom the practical obstacles must at present seem insurmountable. Yeah, it would work just fine.
Yeah, well, I'd suggest that one. Okay, what's Colleen saying here? The majority is singular. Oh, I can't really. Where's the majority? Is that the one above that? What you've got on screen?
Yeah.
But it still works, doesn't it? The way it is.
Yeah, it does. It does. Necessary for individuals who need to cross men and women. Cannot shut our eyes to the undoubted fact that to such people, such obstacles are real and not imaginary.
Such human people. So we don't have to change that, I suppose.
We're down to. Oh, well, this is much quicker than the last one anyway. I thought it would be because we'd already done most of the more difficult stuff. In order to provide the vegan movement with sufficient resources and skill, it is vital to attract people to it. That's right, isn't
it? Yeah. Which ones?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, Leslie. That's all I say.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, you'll get your online training courses by Melody Joy. That's the problem. The most immediate method is the spreading of the idea of animal emancipation. Yeah, that's we don't need to change that either, do we? Unless we put an all, but I don't think it needs it.
Oh, okay.
We shall welcome converts of whatever degree. Those who can promise no more than mental acceptance equally with those who faithfully and so far as they are able put their acceptance of the ideal into daily practice.
Yeah, well, this is, this is reasonable vegan territory, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. But I suppose, I don't know, I mean, we've also got to take the time into consideration too. The mental acceptance is, I guess, understanding what we're actually up against. You can't just, it's not just as weak as if you wouldn't punch a cow in the face, you're vegan. I think there's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, well, Cross probably wouldn't have written this sentence if the supermarkets were full of vegan kind of items, right? And so,
yeah, I think we have to take that time frame into consideration. Yeah.
Have you heard, by the way, and people in the chat, have you heard, by the way, that apparently there is a kind of industry move away from vegan to plant-based on the packaging? I don't know how widespread this is supposed to be, but I heard about this a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, that some firms are starting to shy away from putting the word vegan. But they've probably finally read the email from Tobias Leonhardt.
Well, yeah, I suppose the other thing from it is like just to sort of like find a little bit of an excuse from their point of view is I would imagine, although I'm not sure, but I would imagine the criteria to meet plant-based is less than what it is to meet vegan. In terms of, for a lot of people, plant-based isn't 100% non-animal products, is it? It means most of the time. So it may be one of those things in terms of, obviously they have to go past certain checks to qualify. Well, I would imagine that vegan is probably the most scrutinized, and plant-based is a tier below that.
Yeah, well, that's what when Neil Robinson came up with the idea of plant exclusive.
Yeah. Right. Scroll to the next. Oh, this is the last bit? Okay. As the idea becomes more and more accepted, opportunities will grow to make the path easier and more attractive for those whose nature is not of that of the pioneer. It's all right as well, isn't it?
Well, I mean, this is very kind of Leonhardt, this bit.
Yeah, it is with knowing, that he exists and the kind of things that he says. But I suppose, again, we have to take it into the time consideration. There wouldn't have been this opposition. There wouldn't have been people saying, "Oh yeah, but you could do this instead." I suppose I would like to think he didn't envisage that. He probably thought that wouldn't happen.
It's a fair point, though. I mean, saying that some people are in different circumstances. Some people have got different personalities. Some people have got different temperaments. In some senses, this is bound to be. So there's going to be some prepared to put themselves out. Some, it's like going on an animal rising thing. There's going to be some prepared to go to, to get arrested. Some prepared to go all the way to be imprisoned, and they'll be quite happy about it. Not happy, but they'd accept it. Others are going to go no. So people are going to be different in that sense. So yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. It's just quite interesting the way the reducitarians have used it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are we?
So concurrent, is it?
Yeah, concurrent with the gradual removal of obstacles to the personal practice. Why isn't it like that bit there as well? Why is that underlined to the personal practice? Attention will have to be given to the question of how we propose to deal with animals in general as soon as the changeover from exploitation to freedom reaches a certain stage. It is not difficult to see that such a changeover will bring with it problems of a wide and general character.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't think that we need there.
Removal of obstacles to personal practice.
So to the personal practice is a bit odd.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't need the that's right.
Yeah. But we can't
no, that's it just because the grammars, we can't just change that.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So yes, I think Colleen's got it right there, that all this practicable. Is practicable, yeah. So Josh says that plant-based seems to be lumped in with vegetarian at my local supermarket. Yeah, well, just as in just as in restaurants, people are not going to necessarily understand the thing. Hey, do you know that kind of restaurant storming that happened and all that, and that big thing in Perth? I had a quick look on Happy Cow. I think there was 60 odd vegan options, places to go in Perth or something. So it makes you wonder why they chose to go.
Yeah, why they chose their unless it was like the family had booked it or something. Yeah, but it does make you think, doesn't it? Was the whole thing? I mean, what's interesting is we've kind of heard while we're here, that guy's got so much free marketing from vegans, by the way, like huge amounts. But it's also interesting that the person that's supposedly caused all of this, the vegan that booked the meal and then complained, anyone heard from them? Anyone proved that they're a real person and this isn't all just made up? Because you'd think that would be someone that everyone would want to hear from, yeah?
Oh, Mr. Cynical, that is an interesting one, that isn't it? That is really interesting.
Where is this person that started it all off? Yeah, we don't want to speak to her. Let's speak to Joey Armstrong about it instead.
Complaint. It was a private email complaint. So
how did it get? Though, if she's apparently a vegan, that she'd have come. She must have seen all this. You know, this is off the back of my email. I'm going to say something.
Oh, Josh is saying Joey has spoken to her.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. So not another phantom. I know you're always on the lookout for these phantoms.
Oh no, I just thought it was interesting that everyone has given a platform to the chef, but I'd had no word from the person that essentially was the cause of all of this, because that's what they're getting lumped the blame with. That their complaint has caused all this heat.
Yeah. Anyway, back to things in hand. Colleen is saying ones. I'm not quite sure what that's in relation to. What change would that be there? This is the concurrent thing, right?
Concurrent with the gradual removal of obstacles to one's personal practice.
Oh, I see.
Instead of the.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And I suppose that would be a suitable change then.
Just give me a second. I've got a cat to check.
No, that's fine. It's concurrent with the gradual removal of obstacles to one's personal practice. Yeah, I'm going to make that change. I think that's. The one, wasn't it? So, actually, no, I haven't done that with any of the others. No, just change it. The question of how we propose to deal with animals in general is seen as a it's not difficult to see this. Yeah, to be fair, I don't think there's anything else to change. No, I think we're all good, Joe. So if I scroll back up again and we go through what we've done today, let's start from there. Is everybody watching happy with what we've done, or is there any other alternative suggestions? I'll just very slowly scroll every so often.
Sorry about that, people.
That's fine. Just seeing if there's just going back through what we've done, seeing if everyone is happy.
That's interesting. I really don't understand what Cross is saying here. Okay, let's have a look at that then, because I think it does get a little bit abstract here, isn't it?
So I'll just slowly scroll so everyone can read and make sure. Because obviously we haven't changed anything here, so I can flip back more. Well, I suppose it is the. It kind of changes the tone of the rest of it, but also it's like, as you say, it's quite sensible to think that there are going to be sort of objections to this that aren't necessarily bacon, though. They're going to be, well, I can't afford to do this. And I suppose, again, going back to the time situation, we also have to take into consideration they hadn't categorically proven by then. And I know that because we still have people that doubt now that a plant-based diet is healthy, or you won't die, or whatever, or you won't lack something. So I suppose there's lots of challenges that were in his head at the time that he was potentially taking into consideration.
Which bit? I think Colleen must be talking about the last sentence. Oh, hang on. The last sentence, because that is the bit that is. But I suppose that's really because he does talk about even, that thing about what we're going to do with all the animals and this kind of stuff and all that. That all came up to it.
But it is, I mean, you could take, for example, just companion animals. If we stopped the use in terms of eating, wearing, testing on, all of that sort of thing, then that would bring that into contention all of a sudden. What do we do? Because it's still exploitation. Yeah, we've reduced what most people would consider it, but there's going to be loads of other avenues where it exists that are going to have to be challenged also. And that potentially is going to where you'll meet even the completely different boundaries. You've kind of got, when you tell someone that, you know, bolt gunning a cow in the head for them to have food that they don't need, you've got an argument there. But to try and explain to someone that they shouldn't have a dog, for example, that they've spent the last 10 years loving and caring about and paying for a fortune at the vets, for example, that's how a lot of people rationalize things. Well, I've spent all of this money. It's going to be quite difficult to make them understand that this is still exploitation, because they won't feel like they're exploiting. You know, they won't feel like they're contributing to it.
I'm not convinced that Cross is talking about that, Andy. I think he's talking about what we can do with all the cows.
Well, it may well be, but maybe he was a lot more optimistic. I mean, I wish that was the problem. Because I always answer this question. If there was ever a chance, like somehow, I don't know, we had a whole world government take over tomorrow that said we are no longer doing dairy. It's absolutely, you know, banished everywhere. And we suddenly have all these cows to rehome or to recuperate or to find sanctuary space for. Well, guess what, dairy industry? Do you know how much money you've made off the back of them? Yeah, you're paying for every penny of it. You're paying for their vet treatment. You're paying for their housing. You're paying for it all. And if there's no money left, we'll take it out of your, you know, your bank accounts, your houses, your cars. Yeah, because you've made all your money off the back of them. If that's actually what happened and we were stuck in a position where we've got tens of thousands, if not millions of animals to sort out, yeah, guess who's paying for it? Because it ain't the vegans.
Well, mate, the Mexicans
it's always our responsibility to fix these things. But no, you'd go to the dairy industry and be like, right, what's your bank code and sort code? Because we're taking it.
Oh,
that would be how you deal with, but we're never going to be in that situation, are we? Sadly, I wish the world could be that radical. I wish it could.
There's Andy getting militant people, but he does say lower down that he wants to introduce a personal observation about this, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So
shall we continue?
Yeah, because we can come back to that when we go to the personal bit.
Yeah. So. No one, least of all the vegan, wants a world without animals, and how in general, in detail, we propose to effect the swing over from exploitation and perversion to freedom and naturalness will be quite a talking point one fine day. Won't it just?
Yeah. One fine day. Yeah. So this is the basic thing that he's kind of saying. Okay, so let's imagine we've now got the vegan world. Of course, we would talk about supply and demand. We would talk about the fact that it's going to take a long time, and so there's going to be a gradual decrease, you know, and all that. And so there's always this suggestion from non-vegans that we're going to end up with millions and millions and millions on our hands, right? And that's sadly, in a kind of weird way, we would like that. But it would cause the problems that he's talking about if it was like that. The weird thing is that it's not going to be like that, and so the problem is going to be less, which means that for the foreseeable future they're still going to be exploited and killed, you know. But then there's going to be less and less and less and less. Right now, we would go, okay, stop now, right? As of, you know, your next meal, whatever you want to say, and you know, but that's not going to happen. So. But he's almost like saying, okay, so what we're going to do? What, you know, how is society going to manage it? That's what he's asking, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but you can also see the optimism there with the next paragraph. I mean, he expected to see this, right, or at least thought that was possible.
Well, he said he's asking Providence to make that be, right. So he's, I mean, so.
But that's, I mean, and whereas I don't think that I've got that optimism where I could sit here and say I'm going to be part of that conversation one day. I'd like to think that would be the case, but I haven't got confidence in it.
Yeah, this is interesting from Colleen because perversion, because that goes back to the evolution stuff and the you know, the moral trough and all the rest of it, isn't it?
Yeah. So we were happy with this one, right? We'll just carry on. There's nothing to change. If I may intrude a personal observation, there is a little more desirable I would ask of Providence than that such a day should dawn while I am still here to experience it. How glorious, for example, to take part in a discussion to decide whether, for the purposes of the changeover, a nature park or an animal sanctuary should be set up in this or that part of the country and exactly how it should be planned. Yeah, we could turn like Cumbria into a reserve, like a whole county. Now that could work. I mean, we've definitely got the space to do it, but we're never going to have these conversations. It's not going to come to that sort of conclusion, sadly. I just can't see it.
Why have you suddenly gone pessimistic here?
I haven't. I just can't see it happening in that sense. I think it'll be kind of a very gradual thing to the point where, for example, Holsteins will only exist in very select places. They won't be around anymore. We won't have wild Holsteins being released, so to speak. I don't see that happening because I think it would create so many other concerns. I don't think some of these animals are kind of, I don't know, able to exist by themselves anymore.
Yeah, but that begs the terrible kind of vegan question about can such animals be kind of de-evolved to,
if they were given enough time and space, yeah, in theory. But
yeah.
I think the problem is by the time we get there, they'd be so far away from even what they are now that it'd be kind of, we haven't got the time to fix them.
Yeah, but it also mean that we're going to have to interfere with them to bring that about too. So it'd be more kind of what Ryder calls human superintendents of other animals, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I mean, I'd rather be in the that situation, making those decisions than this one. But I don't think it'll go the way that he's talking about here. Personally, I'd love to be wrong, and I like to have that opinion so that one day I'll be pleasantly surprised. I can never be disappointed because I already expect it.
Yeah, but the point is, do we have to change anything? Or is
no, I don't think so. Nothing in that entire section, no.
Well, let's move on then.
Unless anyone else thinks that we do, but I personally don't. When veganism reaches such a stage, there will have been an immense change of heart and mind in the majority of men and women. The idea of exploiting animals will be as repugnant then as the idea of human slavery is today. So we're going to change humanity?
Yeah.
Other or leave it as it is?
Hang on a minute. In the change of heart and mind in the majority of humanity. In the majority of humanity. Does that sound right? I suppose it's no different. It was in the majority of men and in the majority of men and women. In the majority of men and women, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the hearts and minds in the majority. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we probably have to. Well, we decided we're going to leave the animals.
I don't think it needs adding anyway, to be perfectly honest. I think that fine will be as repugnant then as the idea of human slavery is today. I'm not sure why that today's got the hyphen there.
Oh, that's just the way that some people used to put it, you know.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think, that's in the product of its time, that, you know. So it's all repugnant, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let's carry on then.
Some of the changes in daily living are obvious. There will, for example, be no butcher shops, and the milkman, if he still goes his rounds, will be delivering vegan milk. There's another actual plug there, you know.
No, yeah.
He'd have had a good career in marketing too, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. He'll probably got.
I actually really loved that bit in essence, because it just shows how forward that he's thinking. And I think, I mean, although this again just my personal opinion, to extrapolate that further, he's also thinking about the jobs of the people that already rely on exploitation for a wage. He's not just thinking, well, fuck them. He's thinking, right, they can still do their job. It's just going to be exploitation free.
Yeah, I mean, this is the subsidies and the transfer and over, isn't it?
Yeah. I do like that last bit, to be fair. Well, I like the whole thing, but yeah. We don't need to change milkman, do we? It's still or is it milk people these days? I don't know that one.
Milk person, yeah. I mean, the point is, it's really quite interesting that he says if he still goes his rounds, because they don't. do they?
No. Wow. I mean, maybe in some very isolated areas you might have a private milkman, but obviously the old-fashioned days where like there's loads of them going all over the place. No, I haven't seen one for years.
Oh,
I think some of the more rural areas you can still get a milkman, but you pay for it.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to. Well, I mean, what do you say now? I mean, do people say post person nowadays?
I wouldn't. I'd still say postman, but that would be like a sign of the times, I suppose. I mean, I wouldn't say a postman to a post lady's face. So I guess, I guess I wouldn't. No, I don't know.
A person made of milk.
A milk person. But then again, I suppose milkman would mean the same thing. If that was the case, it would be a man made of milk. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. There'll be no butcher's shop, so that's neutral. And the milk person, if they
still go on their round.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd have to be go on their rounds, wouldn't it? Milk person, if they still go on their rounds.
If they still go.
There's an idea. Milk carrier.
Mail carrier. Okay.
No, milk. Oh, mail carrier.
Yeah, but okay. That makes sense because that takes the If they.
Oh, is that? Oh, wow. Is that what post persons are called?
Would it be better to change it to do rather than go if they still do their rounds?
Well, I was going to say go on their rounds.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was going to say otherwise. Yeah, okay, go on their rounds. Okay.
Yeah, so Joanna's okay with milk carrier too. I mean, this bit is going to be confusion for young vegans anyway, no matter.
Well, yeah, sometimes I'm not 100% sure with some of this language either. That's why I'm glad that we've got the chat. Be no butcher shops, and the milk person, if they still go on their rounds, will be delivering vegan milk. Okay, that's fine.
Milk delivery service, that's quite good. Well, so you could have, and the milk delivery service, if there is one in the future, couldn't you? That would work, wouldn't it? You go no butcher shops and the milk delivery service bracket, if there is one in the future.
Okay.
Or if such a thing exists in the future, that kind of thing.
If this is such.
You don't need the there then, if such a thing.
So we've added these to...
Yeah, you don't want the is, if such a thing. Yeah.
There you go. Milk delivery service, if such a thing. Yeah.
No, if such a thing exists in the future, you'd have to have.
What about still exists?
Yeah, okay.
Just less words then. Obviously, we've just changed it quite a bit otherwise.
I know, yeah, we've messed with
the things that exist. I mean, that makes more sense anyway to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if we were talking about if the milkman, you wouldn't say still goes his rounds. Like I wouldn't use that language. I'd say if this milkman still exists, or if there is still a milkman, I suppose that would.
Yeah, I'd say vegan friendly milk myself, but again, there's no need for that. But
no. Right, we'll be delivering vegan milk.
Yeah, well, we seem to have consensus on that, so that's good. So thanks for that, Joanna. You got us out of a bit of a hole there.
Where are we here now? The countryside will not be heavy with the anguish of cows crying for their calves. There will be no slaughterhouses, no vivisection laboratories. No one will hunt animals for fun.
Yeah,
nothing there, sir. But some of the changes are not so obvious. The benefits to man himself of living in a kindlier and more enlightened world can be envisaged only in broad set outline. So humanity themselves, or benefits to humanity and get rid of himself.
The benefits to humans of living with it.
I think there's nothing, there's no replacement for himself, is there? So it's either got to be humans, humanity, or but the himself has got to go. I think because there's nothing you can. There's no point putting ourselves there.
Well, you could get rid of man and put ourselves.
But then instead of humanity, you mean?
Yeah, you get rid of the word man and put
that would work. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Our health.
Yeah, our health, physical and mental, will be vastly improved. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course they don't care about humans.
Oh yeah. No, they care about the man he's talking about. Because I mean, the amount of times that we've changed that, considering there's no mention of that. Yeah. Our health, physical and mental, will be vastly improved because he will have shed a great deal of the coarser part of his nature. Benefits of the spirit will shower upon him. Benefits which today by
okay. Yeah, but
there's
Deb's saying to us
in this next section. Yeah.
No, but Debbie's saying the benefit.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
The benefit to us, yeah, that's fine. That works just as well. Yeah, we've got one.
We can see the end. We can see the end.
3, 4. We got 5 here, all within the one sentence, really. Because because we will have shed a great deal of the coarser part of our nature. Benefits of the spirit will shower upon us.
Yeah, something like that. Because we will have shed a greater part of our nature. A great deal of the coarser part of our nature. Benefits of the spirit
will shower upon us.
Yeah, will shower upon us.
Unless there's anything better than us.
No. Let's put that in and then read. Then the best thing to do is
add it and then read it out.
You read it out, yeah.
Today by hour. Change that one and then let's see if that works.
Which by our short-sighted volition we deny ourselves.
Yeah, we deny.
So there's quite a lot of changes there, isn't there? Yeah. No, but ourselves, he can't have himself.
Oh, yeah, himself. Sorry, yeah.
Right, okay. Right, do you want to read that out and see what it? Right. Read it out and put it up and see if anybody sloops it, as they say.
Our health, physical and mental, will be vastly improved because we will have shed a great deal of the coarser part of our nature. Benefits of the spirit will shower upon us. Benefits which today, by our own short-sighted violation, we deny ourselves. See, I know the old bit now off by heart. That's like I have to change those words. But that sounds fine to me.
What's the benefit of the spirit? That whiskey or something, is it?
Benefits of the spirit. Well, I'm guessing the spirit is in his language will be the soul.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but
well, I mean that would also be part of his mental kind of health thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it could be whiskey. I mean, he's not wrong. There's a part in one of the Donald Watson things I was reading before where he was talking about whiskey. I can't remember what he was saying now. Right.
Okay, right. So last bit.
Dreams. To make them true requires that we play our part as it comes to us. We are in the very elementary states of a new mutation. We are the pioneers.
So it's so weird, right? We've changed all the stuff to we language.
Now, and at the very end,
and then
it's almost like he got it.
Yeah.
But no, that, to be fair, like, that's fine.
We are the the pioneers. We are the Daleks. So, right. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
I should have had a fanfare, shouldn't I?
Should we do a quick scroll down through it just to see that everyone's quite happy with what we've got, and then if we are, then I'll narrate it at some point later or tomorrow, and we'll get it up.
You're going to do it tonight, are you?
Yeah, I mean, potentially, depending on how long our next conversation goes on for. Yeah. I've definitely learned not to do any narration tired, and I'll definitely have to pay attention to this, because then my brain wanted to say what it used to say. So I'm going to have to sort of relearn it.
Yeah. Well, read the words in on the page and not what's in your head.
That's it. Yeah, read what's in front of me, not use my memory. I'm just gonna, if I'm scrolling this far too fast, by the way, please let me know, but I'm just going to slowly scroll down.
We're supposed to read that at this speed, are we?
I've only moved it a slightly bit. If it's too fast, I'll start it again.
All right. Joanna wants us to change anyway, but we've not got that yet, so carry on. All right, Ridge. What are you doing?
I can't read that comment in a minute because I'm scrolling. So hopefully everyone is here. We haven't done too bad time-wise. Hour and 15. Just
no. I don't think we can do a read-through like this though. It's not going to work, is it?
No.
So yeah. So can we go to the bottom again where we talk about the milk delivery?
It's going to take too long for everyone to read it. We'll just make sure that the link is available and you can go and read it. Where is the Plamil bit?
Well, the milk delivery service.
The delivery service one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we want dairy milk delivery service. See that would be superfluous in those days.
Yeah.
But not now, right? So. How is Ruja doing? We're not long back from the vet. They think that she might have a cat version of laryngitis, so it's very painful for her to eat or to drink. And she got a really croaky voice, and she should have kind of come out of the other end of it kind of by now, but she hasn't. So they're talking about looking to the inside of her neck next week if there's no improvement, to see whether there's some kind of cancer or something like that. But of course there is danger of doing that too with elderly cats. So I mean, they've told me in code really that she's dying, really, to be honest, but I kind of knew that really.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of was thankful for the fact that they were just straight talking, I think.
Yeah.
So, right. Okay, man. So we're done. What are we going to do now?
Done.
What are we going to do for the rest of our evening?
Listen to Ronnie tell us that we need more vegan activists. We need more people to get active, and then we need them to get organising, probably.
We've got a meeting with Ronnie in 10 minutes. Okay, so we've got to go, haven't we?
Yeah, we can't say
that. Right, people. Thanks so much for tuning in. That was groovy, and we've got some more work for Mr. Atkinson to do. So
that's not a problem. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any interest in looking at any of the others. The surge was essentially the most important one, but nothing stopping us doing this again sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
or,
know.
or even if everyone was interested. I mean, obviously thinking to some of the leaflets and the flyers that we were thinking about, there'd be nothing stopping us doing one of these with a Google document and doing a flyer as a group or something like that.
Do you want to explain the plan?
Yeah. Essentially, we not very happy or not really over keen on quite a lot of the free flyers that you can potentially get. So our plan is to potentially just design some different ones that we are quite happy with and put them up for everyone to use. If anyone knows, obviously, we're all based in very different places, but if anyone has got ideas of companies already, especially if they're vegan companies, there's such a gap in the market for a vegan printer that literally just caters for all the activists. Like they made their money from banners and flyers and leaflets and all that sort of stuff, but they were like 100% a vegan business. Like because the problem is most of the ones that you'll search on Google or whatever, they're probably also printing flyers for butcher shops and not milkmen, but that kind of thing, aren't they? That whoever's paying the money. So like, if anyone knows of those things, I'd like to put a collection together of companies too that people can use from all over the place. But yeah, that's the idea. Put out some literature that we're quite happy with the claims making, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea, this, because if you just think about Britain just in isolation, when you got your Viva and Animal Aid and all the rest of the groups, and they must be giving money to these printers who are not vegan companies, like you say. They're
yeah, and I mean, when you think of Viva, for example, they'll give out 1,000 flyers to people potentially for like a show or any of that stuff, and they're doing that quite a few times. So think how many thousands and thousands and thousands that they're getting printed, and where that money could be given to a vegan company. Yeah. If I had the know-how myself, I'd start like a Kickstarter or something and say, let's do it. But I don't have, that's not really my skill set at all, really. I mean, I could design things, but printing.
You'd have to do some kind of analysis of whether the market is big enough, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But I mean, potentially, if you could get because there's so many activists that always say the same thing, like, who do you use? Who do you use? And it's always the same conundrum of, well, they're cheap, but we don't know anything about their ethics. So if there's a group that could set up, yeah, and you kind of directed everybody to them, especially if they could get a couple of the big groups sending them work, they'd more than have a decent business there, and everyone would feel much better about giving them their money.
And also, a vegan printer would start to make inquiries about ink and stuff, about the ethics of all that.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
But the big groups there, the national groups, should almost on moral grounds use that vegan printer, even if it's more expensive.
Well, you'd certainly be able to sort of like say, well, why aren't you using this one? Especially when you've got access to funds that nobody else has, for example. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the idea would be to try and design them with a gap, so people can, if they're in local groups, for example, they could print them all out and then get some stickers and just whiz them on. And so if any donations accrue from giving them out, they go to the right people rather than a national group, which should be great. Okay, people, we've got to go because we've got 6 minutes before Ronnie. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll say bye-bye. So
see you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.